So the Silent Hill 2 remake came out a few days ago as of the time I'm recording this video, and I finally beaten the game. And to preface something, I never played the original game, but I saw the trailers for this and I thought I would like it, so I gave it a chance. And by the time I finished it, I was like, damn. That was pretty good. But like seriously, this game is one of the best horror games I've ever played. Up there with like the Dead Space remake, Alan Wake 2, Resident Evil 4 remake, if that even counts as a horror game. And while I haven't played as many of these style games as I would like to, I know a great game when I play one. I beat the game in about 18 hours while doing everything that I found that there is to do. I apparently missed some stuff that I didn't notice because there's multiple endings to the game depending on like, you know, how you go about your playthrough. But one thing I do gotta say is this game is really weird at keeping track of your playtime. In the game, it says I've played around 24 hours. On my PlayStation, it says I have played it for 18 hours. But I also got an achievement that says I beat the game in under 10 hours. So I don't even know how long I spent playing this damn game. But anyways, time tangent aside, let me start off by talking about the story, as that will be the quickest thing that I'll talk about. Now, I wasn't 100% locked in on paying attention to every detail of the story because I cared more about the gameplay and the level design, but I gotta say, the story here is still really good. And this game has some really good lessons you can learn from, such as 1. Never get booty whipped, otherwise you may find yourself in a delusional state, traveling through hell itself to get to a girl that you killed 3 years prior. 2. Never bring along a hooker on the street that looks like Gwenpool or she might die 3 times and turn into this thing.
James.
Women.
And 3. Never be racist, otherwise you may find yourself having to fight your inner demon, who comes in the form of the Grand Wizard from the clan. But on a serious note, this story is pretty damn sad. The main character, famous runner James Sunderland.
I don't know, who's the famous runner?
James Sunderland.
James whoever. I guess he's Spider-Man because he runs very well. He runs very well, just like, he runs very well, so he must be the OG Spider-Man.
He's in a delusional state, I guess as like a mental coping mechanism because he can't forgive himself for killing his wife, who he was presumably having relationship issues with, which I think is because she was starting to get sick and she wasn't the girl that James wanted to be married to anymore. And I think the game implies this with this girl he runs into, Maria, who dies 3 times, who is not really a real person and more so like an entity that the town uses against James and puts into his mind.
I know you tried,
James, please.
but she's gone. I know that now,
Stop it.
and I can't just keep pretending.
Shut up! What do you want? Do you even know anymore? I'm yours. I'm here for you. So what if I'm not her? I can give you what she never could. I can be better than her. What else do you want me to be?
But I feel like she kind of represents like an idealized version of who his wife was and who he wanted her to be when their relationship started having issues. I watched all the alternate endings to the game and I came to 2 different conclusions. 1, this entire game was fake and we were being controlled by a dog the whole time.
To nie może być prawda.
And 2, one where James says he hated his wife, but she retorts back with,
Don't be. I told you. I wanted the pain to end.
Yeah, you did. But that's not why I did it. The truth is, I hated you. I wanted you out of the way. I wanted my life back.
If that's true, then why do you look so sad?
Which I think implies that James didn't really kill his wife out of hatred and more so to stop her suffering. And when he says he hates his wife, it comes from a place of hatred within himself because he's regretful and depressed at what he did. Which I think is why he keeps trying to help everyone he comes across and why he gets so upset when Maria dies. But I guess it can also be interpreted that he had some kind of pent-up anger with their relationship that also may have played a role in him killing his wife. And by the end of the game, when he finally faces his inner demons, James either unalives himself or he takes Mary's advice and and takes Laura with him to continue living on. You will also find these 3 other characters who are also fighting their inner demons, one being Angela, who is in the town looking for her mama, and the game implies that she was abused by her father, and she's looking for her mother, but she never finds her mom. And it's ambiguous why she wants to find her mom so bad. It could be because her mom was the only place, like, of comfort for her as a child, but you could also get the interpretation that since she never really finds her mom in the same way that, like, you know, James eventually finds Mary, quote unquote, that her mom was never really there for her as a kid. And by the end of the story, just like James, Angela wants to kill herself by the end of the story. The second character you run into is this whale named Eddie, and he just completely loses his mind throughout the game. But the reason he's here is because he was bullied for being a fat ass, and he shot someone's dog, then shot the owner of said dog. Then the little fat ass tries to kill James, and this is why you don't fight fat people. Their blubber gives them an inherent advantage of armor that can tank 5 shotgun blasts. Where you going, fat boy? Come here. Come here. Bro, what the fucking die, you fat shit? And the third and final character you meet is this little shit named Laura. I'm not really sure what her purpose throughout the story is other than fucking with you.
Please open the door. There's something in here.
There there is. A big lying fart face. See a fart face?
Laura!
I hate you, James! I hate you! I hate you! I hate you!
But I think my best guess may be that she is there as a refuge for James to carry on with in one of the endings instead of, you know, offing himself. Anyways, there's a lot of stuff that you can find about the town that I'm not gonna get deep into, but it was always interesting to me how every bit of lore I would find would kind of blur the line between fantasy and reality, because you find stuff like experimentations that were going on with people in the town and illnesses that were spreading throughout the town, which makes you think the monsters are real, but there's also an element where some of the stuff that happens is so unreal and supernatural, and the fact that, you know, characters can see 2 different things when they're in the town, like Angela with the fire, that it just constantly kind of makes me question, okay, is this real or is this not real? Or was it the damn dog? But that brings me to the next thing that I want to talk about with the game, and that's the gameplay, level design, boss fights, and the atmosphere. And on almost all of these fronts, the game is like a borderline masterpiece in my eyes. Every level in this game is great, and they literally just get better and better as the game continues. And the atmosphere just makes the game feel constantly engaging, as you never know what will pop out, where it may be, and what kind of enemies are in the area. But at the same time, this is where one of my criticisms of the game comes in, and that's simply that I don't think there's enough resource management here or enemies that keep me engaged for a good portion of my playthrough. I never really came to a point in the game where I felt like I needed extra resources, because most of the time I would have enough on hand. And this is also in part of the fact that the only enemies that like kept me constantly locked in throughout my entire experience were the nurses with the knives, not the ones with the pipes, because every time I fought them I felt like I needed to use my gun. But for every other enemy, I figured out their move patterns like pretty easily. Is that a walking penis? I'm beating some meat right now. Oh, whoa. Alright, bro, listen. I know you just like busted everywhere, but like just keep that shit away from me. So I never really felt like I needed to use my gun, and I only really used it when there was like multiple enemies in a room, or when I just wanted to get through an area quicker. Although to be fair, it took me about an hour before I got used to the mannequin enemies movesets, but once I did, the game kind of became like a walk in the park. At least in scenarios where there aren't multiple enemies, like in one room. But I'm not saying the other enemies aren't engaging, because they still are, even when they aren't on screen, because they could pop out at any moment, and you don't know which enemies will be where, which is why I still think that part of the gameplay, the combat, is good, but I wouldn't say it's like great. Most of the time I can excuse enemies not being that engaging if there's like a solid amount of creativity and stuff to do in the combat system to like play around with, but there really isn't in this game. You've got 3 guns in your pipe. That's it. And my other issue when it comes to the combat is the camera, because that shit is so far up your ass. Like, I died numerous times from the camera just not letting me see an enemy I'm fighting properly, and it's especially annoying when the area you're fighting in is really dark or when there's multiple enemies to deal with. The camera FOV in this game is like the newer God of War games -20, and I think if this game had some kind of lock-on feature, like maybe God of War or Elden Ring, that would have been an easy way to mitigate this issue for me. But everything that I just mentioned is addresses pretty much all of my problems with the game. But to talk about the level design, that shit is fucking fire. The puzzles in this game are some of, if not the best that I have ever played in a game. And why do I say that? Well, because I had to look up the answer to about 40% of them. But that doesn't mean that the puzzles were like unfair, because there's always a riddle or something throughout the level or in the environment that you need to pay attention to so that you can figure out these puzzles. And this adds to the art direction of the levels as well. And most of the time I looked up something, it was because I didn't feel like going back and looking at, like, you know, throughout the level. But there were also puzzles that did just have me sitting there like, damn, I'm stumped. And then when I figured out the answer, I was like, oh. But yeah, the puzzles in this game are great. There isn't a single puzzle in this game that didn't make me, like, sit there and be like, hold on, and just, you know, think about what I needed to do. And the puzzle difficulty will vary depending on what difficulty you play on, which I really appreciated, even if, you know, I would be stumped sometimes. But moving on a bit, the Metroidvania elements for, like, exploration and progression are so well done in this game, and again, always feel engaging due to the atmosphere of the game. The eerie music that will play, or the creepy radio and monster sounds every time an enemy is nearby, or the fantastic visual designs of the levels, or James moaning like a woman when he dodges. The fuck was that? Wait. All of these things make every level in this game so tense, and my balls were inside me and my cheeks were clenched at numerous points in this game. One of my favorite sequences in the game is this Harry Potter ass hallway sequence with the little crawling spider mannequins, and then you run into the Grand Wizard, who's the dark reflection of James's inner racism, and it had me sitting up on top of this ladder like a little bitch for 10 minutes because he wouldn't go away. Alright, he probably did by now. Did bro leave yet? Like, come on, bro. Yeah, we should be good. Oh, nope, 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 nope. I literally can't tell. Oh. Does he see me? Oh, hey, bud, how's it going? You can't climb ladders, right, bro? Nah. Yeah, look at you sitting there dumb as hell. Alright, bro, like, I kind of want to come down here. You know, I kind of want to progress, so, suck my dick, nigga! But to quickly talk about the boss fights, I think literally all of them are good to great. My only issue with all of them, pretty much, is, again, the camera FOV at points, because it can cause some really unfair damage, and the fact that I would kind of just be confused on how to actually beat the boss, because I wasn't sure if I would be doing damage to them when I shoot them, but all of them do eventually just, you know, end up dying when you put enough bullets into them. And to be extra specific on the final boss, I don't know if nobody playtested this shit or not, but why the hell did they make it so hard to grab items off these little ledges, knowing that you have to turn your back to the hooker demon you're fighting, which can make you take damage for no reason? Like, that shit made me die so many times because I couldn't grab the items that I needed before taking bullshit damage. But rant aside, I would say all the bosses in this game are like a 7 out of 10 or higher. My favorite boss in the game would probably be the final boss. But before I say my final closing thoughts on the game, I would like to say that if you enjoyed this video, I'd appreciate it if you would become a channel member to get my videos early for as little as $1 a month. But to conclude my thoughts on the game, this game is great. There isn't a single element of this game that is bad. It's my second favorite game that I've played this year. I do have a couple issues with it, but I'm overall happy with my experience, and I give this game a solid 9 out of 10. And maybe it could go up to a 10 out of 10 if I replay it in the future and find more things that I like about it. Let me know what you thought of the game if you played it. Hope you all enjoyed the video, and yeah, thanks for watching.